Hey, good afternoon to you, Gabe DeArmond, Sean Williams here, the Mizzou Tuesday recruiting show where we are. I'm not going to make any promises we can't deliver on. We might talk a little bit of Mizzou recruiting. We don't really have a real good idea what we're going to talk about. So if you're watching live and you got questions or comments, Mizzou recruiting related, feel free to throw them our way and do our jobs for us for the next 20, 30 minutes. Before we get to that, always want to remind you guys that our shows this year are sponsored by James Carlton State Farm Insurance. Saw James tweeting earlier today about the Tiger Club luncheon in St. Louis and meeting athletic director Desiree Reed-Francois. James is a big Mizzou fan, a supporter of PowerMizzou.com. If you call him and get a quote, or if you email him and get a quote, or if you send him a postcard and get a quote and mention Power Mizzou, he is going to donate $20 to Advancing Missouri Athletes, Mizzou's NIL collective. You can look James up online at carltoninsurance.net. You can call him at 314-961-4800. You can find him on Facebook at facebook.com/carltoninsurance. James has not provided me his MySpace account at this point in time, but if he does, I will make sure to pass that on to you all next time. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, James Carlton State Farm is where you want to go. Sean, what's going on, man? Good Tuesday.
Yeah, good so far. And my first question will be, MySpace. How active were you on MySpace back in the day?
I actually was talking about this with somebody. I used MySpace for exactly one thing in my entire life. When we found out that Damari Carroll was transferring from Vanderbilt to Missouri, the only way I could find to get a hold of him was his MySpace page. So I signed up for a MySpace account and I sent him a message, and he actually called me, and I did an interview with Damari when he was transferring from Vanderbilt. That's the only thing I ever used MySpace for. I don't know that I could even find a profile for it.
Very purposeful then. That was kind of a good one and done scenario.
Yeah, and have never had a desire to use it again. I don't even know. You probably can't anymore.
I don't think you can. I remember using it back in the day. I thought it was pretty neat, profile creation. You can share music and stuff like that. So I know a lot of bands had MySpace pages. You could go sample their music. So that was kind of a good way to use MySpace and everything. So
well, that was back in the day when every now and then recruits would do interviews and stuff, and not just say, "Hey man, don't worry, I'm gonna put a video or a graphic out in 6 weeks, and you just make sure to check that out, and then you'll know what's going on."
I know people still I think they use pictures of Kevin Durant's MySpace page from back in the day or something like that.
Oh, is that right?
I think some people use that for comedic purposes or something. So it's pretty funny to see Kevin Durant back in the day.
Big day for Kevin Durant, but we're not here to talk about the Nets. I guess
I don't know what he did. What did he do? Did he do something?
His coach got fired.
Oh. Yeah, Steve, that sucks.
I'm sorry, they mutually agreed to part ways. I would have do that the right way.
Honestly, Steve Nash probably said, "Man, I'm really tired of all this player drama, man."
Right. It might have been his idea.
Right.
So I don't know, man. Seriously, we're kind of at I don't know, is anything really happening stage?
Look, you kind of sit there and really, this is our show. You're supposed to pump it up like it's supposed to be really good.
Oh, right. I forgot. All kinds of things are happening. Sean, do you want to talk about those?
Well, I was going to say, example, a lot of things have happened than previous shows in the past. So we should kind of be excited to be talking about a commitment, which we did actually kind of talk about in last week's show, but it actually did happen with Serene Tenkara, the defensive end out of Clear Springs, Texas. That became official on Thursday, which we kind of teased that on last week's show. But Missouri has their second defensive line commitment in the class. He joins Ja'Kai Lang out of Troy Buchanan. So, came in for the official visit recently, and Missouri secured the commitment. So, kind of interesting to see where they go defensive line-wise from here on out. So,
yeah, and Tenkara kind of I don't know, seems like a little bit under the radar to me. Seems like he would have a little maybe a few more offers than he does based on just the profile and the measurables and all that.
Yeah, I agree, and we kind of talked about this last week. You know, he has. I don't think he's picked up a lot of offers since the summer, and it seemed like just kind of looking at his Twitter account, it seemed like Houston and Oregon State, which have offered him, were kind of still in kind of pursuit. At least sending him graphics. He was retweeting some things from them. So, but yeah, you are kind of surprised that. But once again, that maybe he didn't get any new offers during the fall or anything like that. But once again, this is a kid like we kind of mentioned last week's show, like Philip Roche, the cornerback out of Maryville, Indiana. Missouri offered him back in the spring, and then hey, all of a sudden he kind of reappears, in the fall, and that probably has a lot to do with just losing out on some guys and he kind of jumps up the board a little bit more whenever you lose out on guys to some other programs. So
yeah, kind of a similar profile type kid, maybe. Daniel Blood, we talked about him a little bit last week. He decommitted from Louisiana, I believe it was yesterday morning. I strongly encourage Missouri to get this kid because there's a lot of headline opportunities, right? Like his commitment story, if it happens, could be like, Drinkwitz has bloodlust, things like that. There's a lot of things we could do there.
Yeah, I kind of teased this on the board that I did talk to him Sunday night, and do have quotes from him, which I'll kind of throw in the chamber. But I was actually kind of writing a story, and I kind of was doing the Blood, and then I was going to put Drawn after that, and I was like, just started laughing at myself. You can do a lot of things with the name, man. I mean, you really can. If you're writing stories, and honestly, I like that. It seems like the kid, if you go through Daniel Blood's Twitter account, he kind of enjoys kind of making a little light of his name too, because I think at their recent homecoming game, or they had like a homecoming parade, and he made like a whole float that said like blood bank or something like that, and he was dressed up as a doctor and stuff like that. So yeah, he seems to have a lot of fun with it and everything. But yeah, he's probably one to keep an eye on, just because Missouri did recently offer him at the end of September, and he was on campus unofficially during the summer. So he said he really likes Missouri, talks to Coach Peeler a lot. He's kind of he's really a dynamic athlete, dynamic football player. I think he's got like 13 touchdown catches so far this year. He's really good at punt returns too. I think he's got 4 return touchdowns. And he said that's what Peeler likes about him, just his playmaking ability, not only as a wide receiver, but in the punt return game as well. And he plays basketball too. He's also a triple jump state qualifier in Louisiana as well. So he's a pretty dynamic athlete.
And a kid, I mean, not the biggest guy ever, 6 foot, 175. Like, it kind of seems to me that's the profile of the Mizzou receivers the last couple years, just more smaller, quicker guys as opposed to having that, that Towski Dove kind of bigger build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like they're kind of just trending towards speed guys, smaller guys that can kind of, create plays in space, and you can get the ball to them really quick and just kind of let them do the thing, do their thing with the ball in their hands. So that kind of seems to be where they're kind of going towards in terms of pass catchers and things like that. So yeah, I mean, he kind of fits that bill, in terms of being kind of a smaller, speedy guy that's got tremendous athleticism, and obviously he can jump. I mean, triple jumps. Right. Being a state qualifier in triple jumps pretty impressive, whether that equates to vertical jumping ability, we'll see. But yeah,
I would like to see a kid do that, like go on a fly pattern and then he catches the ball and then he just triple jumps into the end zone. That'd be cool.
But just don't flip, man. You'll get a flag for that. Okay, so
fair. Yeah, don't take your helmet off either. It can lose you a football game.
That's right. Well. Unless you want to do it after the game, in terms of Michigan State doing
it. Yeah, that can lose you a scholarship.
Right.
Kyle wants to know any theory on why there have been so many more under the radar recruits this year. I mean, without being too negative, I think it's just because they missed on more of their top targets than they've missed on the first couple of years, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of going through that wave of, hey, these guys that we targeted during the summer, we didn't get them. So now we're going to target some new guys in the fall. So, it's really about them. It's kind of like evaluating film, and obviously they knew about Blood in the summer because he came in for an unofficial visit. So that, they were on his radar. I think they just kind of wanted to see more film from him his senior season and just see if he, could be like an SEC caliber player. And obviously they really liked what they've seen from him, and they gave him extended him an offer in September. So yeah, you're kind of seeing that, during the summer, it's almost like, you got waves of recruiting and kind of who your top targets are. And once you kind of get past the summer, if you don't get your top targets in the summer or they decide to move on other places, then you got to start looking other places as well. And that's what, evaluating film and going out and seeing these kids play whenever you can kind of comes into play. So, yeah, I mean, maybe the term under the radar, true, but in Missouri's coaches' eyes, they think they're SEC level type players. So,
right. The one other thing I had thought about, I saw this morning, offensive line kid named, I believe it's Devin Vass.
Right.
He had gotten an offer from Missouri a few weeks ago, committed to Kansas State this morning. Where are we at offensive line wise? Like, do you think it's back transfer portal at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Jaden Hobson, the Southern Miss commit.
Oh, right.
He recently came in for a visit, and we did a story on him. He really likes Missouri. Kind of interesting to maybe see. I know he mentioned Mississippi State as a team that's showing him some interest. So, I mean, if, Mississippi State offers him, he's, that might be kind of a little bit of a game changer because he's from Alabama. So it's a little bit closer, but, he's one that kind of wanted to keep an eye on. But, yeah, we kind of mentioned this in last week's video. Yeah, probably going to be a transfer. Maybe get another guy from the high school ranks. And then maybe dip into the portal and see what you can find there in terms of getting an experienced guy to come in. So,
yeah. Ostock asks, which Mizzou program gets the next 5-star player, basketball or football? I mean, I think the chances are better in basketball. I don't know. Like, I'd have to look at the 2024 class. I mean, Ryan Wingo, I think, is currently a 5-star. We don't really think Missouri's got a great shot there.
Right.
So I'd have to look. Maybe there's some kid I'm skipping past in the 2024 class, but I don't know of one offhand.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in terms of next year's class, Wingo's probably your best bet. I mean, you might, and don't mean to step on a sore subject here, but Mpimba was back on campus recently, but we don't think he's coming to Missouri. Right. I think he was just coming to check out Georgia again, to be honest with you. But yeah, Ringo's probably your best bet. I've heard a lot of things about, him liking Notre Dame. And now I think people put on the board that there's been a prediction for him to go to Tennessee because he was just recently there. Of course, Tennessee is having a great year, and that wide receiver looks really good for them. So, who doesn't want to play in that offense if you're a pass catching wide receiver?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. Like, that could be a problem for Missouri, I think, if with Josh Heupel, with that offense up and going. Like, look, I don't think Josh is going to have Tennessee number 2 in the country every year or anything, but receivers, that's pretty attractive.
Yeah. I mean, for him to be able to do it on the SEC level and to put up the kind of points and the kind of offense that they're doing, I mean, and Hyatt's got, what has he got, 12 touchdown catches or something like that? It's just something crazy. So, I mean, they've got Hooker, obviously. I don't know if he's going to be there next year, but they've got a 5-star quarterback coming in. I don't think, getting quarterback commits, getting high profile quarterback prospects to come into that offense is going to be easy. And so will, wide receiver prospects that are highly rated as well. So,
yeah, we'll put a list together in the chamber like we always do of kids we are expecting to be in town this weekend for the Kentucky game. On one hand, I would think you would like to have some kids in, but there's 2 problems. First of all, it's supposed to rain most of the day. And second of all, a lot of these kids are now into playoff games,
right.
Which probably start on Friday night, 11 a.m. game the next morning. That's going to be kind of tough for a lot of these kids to play a game Friday night, get down here Saturday morning. And then, by the way, most of them are probably turning around, 5 days later and playing another playoff game. So they probably want to rest up and things like that. So I'm not sure what to think. I think this might be a little bit lighter visit weekend than some we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I think so. And you bring up a good point in terms of just everybody's playoff, season kind of starting. I think you're probably going to see a lot of local kids. I know Tion Gray, the Hazelwood Central kid from 2024 class. It's on Missouri, one of Missouri's targets. He's coming in. I think his teammate that they haven't offered is coming in too. He's a 2024 kid. But you'll probably see like some local in-state kids probably come, and I would say that would probably be about it. But we'll see. We'll have a complete list on the chamber and kind of go from there. And whoever's in town that's kind of notable, we'll catch up with them afterwards. So
we will. I may not do my sideline if it's raining. That may cut into my ability to walk down on the sideline. I don't know, Sean. I'm not super dedicated sometimes, man.
There are these things called ponchos, and they do have hoodies. You can put those on, and you can be a dedicated Power Mizzou contributor and get on the sidelines and get some names for us. I mean,
I could. I also could not, though.
You could also get
that's an option.
You could also get a high-powered telescope and just do all this from the press box. I mean,
that's fair.
Depends on how much money you want to spend. Poncho versus high-powered telescope.
Yeah, look, the name tags are big, but I'm not sure I could read them from the press box, to be quite honest with you. The spam account wants to know when, and Sean actually should know this. You're kind of involved in this process now. When does Rivals start to reevaluate rankings? Curious about Jamal Roberts, who, could he be a 4-star?
It could be. I don't know. That's definitely not going to be up to me. But yeah, we're going to Rivals will reevaluate rankings later this month, actually. So, and I think we'll release it. I think that's when we're going to have discussions, and then I think they're going to be released in December. So the re-rankings for the 23 class. So.
Yeah, curious if there's anybody on that commitment list that you think. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't see any of the kids that are 2 or 3 stars right now outside of maybe Roberts as a kid that I think is generating enough buzz that you look at could move up. I think a bigger concern might actually be, does Logan Reichert or does Jabari Johnson hang on to those 4 stars? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not involved in this process at all. That's just kind of my thought from looking through the commitment list.
From my my rookie evaluation handling of the rankings process, I think with Riker there is a little bit of a concern that I don't think he'll drop from the 4-star, but I think he'll drop. Maybe he can drop out of the top 250. I don't know. That, like I said, ultimately those are not really my decisions. I do have a little bit of input, but that's not even my area.
Everybody, if anything happens to Missouri commitments, at Sean _ I don't even know your Twitter handle.
Negative at Rivals Clint. That's who you want to talk to. So I mean. Yeah, I think, Reichert might move down to top 250. I don't know if he would drop out.
Right.
Gabari, here's the thing about Gabari Johnson. I don't think he has anything to worry about. I mean, that dude's putting up some massive numbers. Yeah. He doesn't pass the ball a lot, but, you don't have to when you go 9 of 11 for 238 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean,
that's efficiency. Yeah.
And he's rushing for, almost 100 yards and at least a score every game, too. So, I mean, that dude's just tearing it up. I don't know what the level of competition he's playing up there, but, I mean, the dude's tearing it up. He looks like a 4-star up there in the Northeast. So, the Northwest. So what does it matter? Yeah, sorry, man. I'm from Kentucky. Right. I don't know my geography.
That's all right. All right. So, look, I do have something to do at 3 o'clock, so this is going to be a little bit shorter show than usual, but I want to finish it up this way. Ben Hauser says, are we going to hit it big this year in the transfer portal? So let's just go through yes, no, and a number. I want to go through every position on the roster. Quarterback. Missouri take a transfer quarterback this year? I say yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be Drake's MO, right?
Right. It seems to be everybody's MO at this point, to be honest.
I mean, if there's one that's hit the portal and they have a lot of starting experience, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like quarterback with starting experience, offensive line, defensive lineman with starting experience. Yeah, I mean, program's going to be all over those guys.
Yeah. Running back, you think portal there?
I guess it would really depend on who comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I would think at this point Nate Pete's probably done. I would think Cody Schrader's going to come back because I don't think he's an NFL guy. Tavoris Jones is there. Kind of hard to see BJ Harris sticking around because he's really hasn't played. Elijah Young, we'll see. I feel like they could use a body there maybe, depending, like you said, on what happens.
Right. Yeah, I think if Pete's gone in, they'll definitely kind of look around for sure.
Right. Offensive line, we know they need a transfer.
Right.
Wide receiver, I would think no.
Yeah, I would think no on this too, but you never know who's going to pop in there.
Right. I guess it kind of depends on who shows up.
Yeah.
Tight end, yes, like 5 of them. I mean, seriously?
I mean, they brought one in last year.
I know. They
but
need to bring in a better one this year. Defensive line, this one's impossible because they got so many dudes that could stay or go that I don't even know.
I'd say at least one.
Yeah. I was looking last week. I said I think they maybe take a transfer linebacker. Even though they got some young guys, Damian Wilson, Zach Lovett, Xavier Simmons, Carmicah Glass will be coming back off injury. Mm-hmm. I think Tyron Hopper goes pro. And especially if Chad Bailey leaves, I think you need one.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, and then secondary kind of seems like offensive line. I don't know. They take a transfer secondary player like every 4 weeks, so I assume they'll take another one.
Yeah, and I mean, you're looking at this year's class. They've got 3 commitments so far. I mean, they're definitely going after another one, and maybe 2 more. I mean, we just don't know. Right. So yeah, I mean, but if there's one out there that's good, and you got a good relationship with them, and you've recruited them in the past, and you think they can contribute, I mean, yeah, you'll probably go out and grab at least one.
Yeah. No transfers into or out of Power Mizzou that we know of. Sean and I think, at least unless Sean tells me differently in the next 10 seconds, we'll be back here next Tuesday doing this show again. I'll be with Gerard Hamilton talking a little Mizzou football tomorrow afternoon, 2:30, 3 o'clock, somewhere in that neighborhood. If you are looking to pay attention, Sean, this is about to be a professional transition. If you're looking to transfer your insurance, you might want to do that to James Carlton State Farm in Webster Groves, Missouri. If you live in Missouri or Illinois, James wants to talk to you and see if he can save you a little money on your life, car, home insurance. Just give him a call at 314-961-4800. You can find him on the web at carltoninsurance.net. They've got some good stuff for teen drivers. And like I said, life insurance, home insurance, whatever it is, might just be able to save you a little money. So if your insurance costs a leg and an arm, James Carlton State Farm. And once again, don't forget, if you mention Power Mizzou, when you talk to somebody in James's office, he's going to donate $20 to Mizzou's NIL collective with every quote that he gives out. So, I don't know, Sean, abbreviated edition, anything we missed?
No, I mean, that's why you're the most wanted man on the radio. Those transitions right there was just absolutely perfection. So,
yeah, I'll probably be offered another job very quickly. So,
so you're going to enter the transfer portal? I mean, geez.
We'll keep you posted. I still plan to be here next.
I'm going to announce my intentions to enter in December 5th. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll keep an eye on it, man. So until December 5th, we'll keep doing this every Tuesday. Appreciate you guys watching. If you watch live, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, leave a nice comment. However you hear it, watch it, whatever you're doing. Share it on social media. Let people know what we're doing. Get a few more eyeballs and ear holes on the show. We appreciate that. And we'll talk to you next week.